A $45 emergency food bar contains roughly 2,400 calories. That's one person, one day. A $45 trip to any grocery store for rice, beans, oats, and cooking oil gets you enough calories to feed that same person for about 3 weeks. That's not a survival secret. That's arithmetic. And the reason that math never shows up on the packaging of those freeze-dried emergency buckets sold at big box stores and all over YouTube ads is because there's no profit margin in telling you the truth. The emergency food industry is a $300 solution to a problem you can solve for under 90 bucks. They've built an entire market around the assumption that you won't do the math yourself. So let's do the math. Because once you see these numbers, you can't unsee them, and you'll never look at a survival food commercial the same way again. Here's what most people do when they decide to get serious about emergency food. They go online, they type 30-day emergency food supply, and the first 10 results are branded buckets, big logos, patriotic color schemes, phrases like 25-year shelf life, and 192 servings. Looks impressive, feels responsible. So they spend somewhere between $128 and $940 depending on the brand. They stack the bucket in the garage and they feel prepared. They are not. And the reason they're not comes down to one word the industry has deliberately left undefined: serving. There is no legal standard for what constitutes a serving in emergency food marketing. None. So companies define it however it benefits them most. One of the most popular 4-week kits on the market advertises 192 servings. Sounds like a month of food, right? Divide the total calories in that kit by those 192 servings, and each one contains roughly 190 calories. That's less than a candy bar. The total calorie count for the entire kit is about 36,480. Divide that by 2,000 calories per day, which is what an average adult actually needs, and you get 18 real days of food. Not 28, not 30, 18. And those 18 days, assume you're sitting still, not hauling water, not clearing debris, not doing any of the physical work that actual emergencies demand. If you're active, which you will be, that number drops to about 14. Another brand sells a 150-serving bucket at a warehouse club for about $100. Looks like a deal until you pull up a calculator. Total calorie count, roughly 25,280. That works out to 168 calories per serving. Spread over 30 days, that's 843 calories a day. The NIH classifies anything under 1,200 calories as a very low-calorie diet. 843 is a starvation diet. You paid $100 for a starvation bucket, and nobody on the label warned you. Then there's the water problem nobody mentions in the ads. Every freeze-dried meal requires water to become food. Each serving needs roughly 3/4 to 1 full cup of water just to rehydrate. Over a month, that adds up to an extra 7.5 gallons per person, on top of the 1 gallon per day you already need for drinking. In most disaster scenarios, water is the first thing that fails. A pantry full of freeze-dried pouches without stored water is a pantry full of expensive dust. Meanwhile, a 50-cent can of beans is ready to eat cold, straight from the can. No water required, no heat required. The industry chose freeze-dried not because it's better for you, but because it's lighter, cheaper to ship, and easier to market than canned goods. It's optimized for their logistics, not your survival. That's a recurring pattern you'll notice. And the sodium. Most freeze-dried emergency meals run 400 to 800 milligrams of sodium per serving. Eat 3 a day and you're pushing 3,000 to 4,500 milligrams, nearly double the recommended daily limit. High sodium makes you thirstier, which burns through your water faster, which makes the freeze-dried food even harder to prepare. It's a vicious cycle built right into the product. Stack all of these problems together, and here's what you have. A product that costs $5 to $38 per 2,000 calories requires a resource you probably won't have, delivers fewer calories than advertised, and makes you need more water than you planned for. That's not food security. That's a tax on your ignorance, but if you know what to look for, you can opt out of it completely. So, what actually works? And the reason you've never heard anyone explain this clearly is honestly kind of annoying. It works too well and costs too little for anyone to build a business around telling you. You need 60,000 calories to feed one adult for 30 days at 2,000 per day. A family of 4 needs 240,000. You hit those numbers with bulk staples that have been keeping civilizations alive for literally thousands of years. White rice, dried beans, rolled oats, dried pasta, cooking oil, peanut butter, add salt, sugar, honey, powdered milk, a rotation of canned goods, and a bottle of multivitamins. And you have a nutritionally functional 30-day food supply for somewhere between $65 and $86 total. Let me walk through every item. 15 pounds of white rice, a 25-pound bag at a warehouse club, runs about $10.70. You only need 15 of those pounds for one person, which gives you approximately 24,840 calories. Rice delivers 1,656 calories per pound dry. At warehouse club prices, that comes out to roughly 26 cents per 1,000 calories, nothing in the entire commercial. Emergency Food Market comes within miles of that number. A single bag of warehouse rice contains more total calories than most $200 freeze-dried kits. Let that sink in for a second. 4 pounds of dried pinto beans, around $4.50. That adds about 6,300 calories. Beans matter here not just for energy, but because rice and beans together form a complete protein. Rice supplies the methionine that beans lack. Beans supply the lysine that rice lacks. This isn't nutritional theory or folk wisdom. It's amino acid chemistry, and it's the reason that nearly every traditional food culture on the planet independently arrived at some version of rice and beans, or corn and beans, or wheat and lentils. Those cultures weren't reading nutrition labels, they were surviving. And this pairing is what stuck because it works. 2 pounds of dried lentils, about $3.50. Lentils cook faster than beans, roughly 20 to 25 minutes versus 90 minutes for dried pintos, which means less fuel consumption if you're cooking on a camp stove or limited propane. That matters more than most people think when the power's been out for a week. 3 pounds of rolled oats, roughly $4. Oats require nothing but hot water and 5 minutes of patience, making them the easiest hot meal in your supply. 3 pounds of dried pasta, under $3. 2 pounds of peanut butter, $4.50. Peanut butter is one of the only shelf-stable foods that delivers dense calories, protein, and fat simultaneously while requiring zero cooking or water. You can eat it with a spoon straight from the jar. In an emergency, that simplicity has real value. All of these items together also add something most people underestimate: variety. After about 2 weeks of eating the same meals, your body begins rejecting food psychologically. Nutritionists call this appetite fatigue. People in extended emergencies have literally stopped eating because they couldn't stomach another identical bowl. In a survival situation, variety isn't a luxury, it's a caloric delivery strategy. Food you won't eat provides 0 calories regardless of what the label says. Now here's the single most overlooked item in any emergency food supply: about 30 fluid ounces of cooking oil. Any basic vegetable or canola oil costs under $4. Cooking oil delivers roughly 4,010 calories per pound, making it the most calorie-dense staple in your entire pantry by a wide margin. Those 30 ounces alone contribute over 7,600 calories. Without the oil, your daily average drops below the 2,000 calorie threshold. With it, you're comfortably above. Oil also makes rice and beans palatable day after day. It's what transforms survival food into food you'll actually eat for 30 consecutive days. And as we just covered, food you won't eat is worthless. 1 pound of sugar, $1.50. 1 pound of powdered milk, about $6. A container of honey, around $4. Salt, under $1. 6 cans of tuna or chicken, about $10. 6 cans of vegetables, $5. 4 cans of fruit, about $7. The canned goods serve as your insurance policy against water and power failure because they contain their own liquid and require zero preparation. If you lose access to clean water, if the power goes out and you can't boil anything, canned food still works. Every other item in your supply requires water, heat, or both. Cans require neither. And finally, a 200-count bottle of store-brand multivitamins, about $9. The overall macro ratio of this supply runs approximately 70% carbohydrates, 18% fat, 12% protein. That's heavier on carbs than a normal diet, but adequate for 30 days of survival. Your biggest nutritional gaps will be vitamins A, C, and D. The multivitamin closes those gaps completely. Skip it, and by week 3, you'll feel sluggish. Your gums may get tender, and your immune response dips noticeably. $9 prevents all of that. Do not skip it. Total cost for one person, buying full packages at regular grocery prices, approximately $86, with surplus product in most categories that rotates into your normal cooking. Consumed food value is closer to $65. For a family of 4, you're looking at roughly $267. Compare that to the premium commercial kit at $940 for one person that delivers 1,700 calories a day, or 4 of the budget kits at $512 that still only deliver 1,300. The DIY approach costs 75% less and delivers more actual food. That's not a survival secret, that's arithmetic. Now you need to store it properly or none of this matters. The gold standard for home storage is a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber inside a food-grade 5-gallon bucket. Total cost per bucket setup, $8 to $15. Mylar bags are multi-layer laminated pouches, plastic fused to aluminum foil that block oxygen, light, and moisture simultaneously. A 30-pack of 1-gallon bags with oxygen absorbers costs about $26 online. You seal them with a regular hair straightener or flat iron set around 400 degrees. Press firmly for 3 to 4 seconds and you've got an airtight seal. That's genuinely it. The buckets need to be food-grade HDPE number 2 plastic. Flip it over and check the recycling symbol stamped into the bottom. New ones with snap-on lids cost $5 to $8 at any hardware store, or get them free from the bakery department at most grocery stores, where they previously held icing, frosting, or pickles. One 5-gallon bucket holds about 35 pounds of rice. The oxygen absorbers are doing the real work inside those sealed bags. Research has shown that reducing the oxygen level inside a sealed container to below 3% and maintaining it there for 45 days produces a 0% insect survival rate. That matters because weevil eggs are commonly already inside grain when you buy it from the store. They're microscopic and invisible. Left in a regular bag or even a Ziploc, larvae hatch within months and can contaminate your entire supply. The absorber eliminates that threat completely. White rice stored in sealed Mylar has been verified edible after 30 years in university food science studies conducted at Brigham Young University. Dried beans last 10 to 30 years. Oats go 8 to 10. You do this once and it's functionally permanent. One important note on what not to use. Regular Ziploc bags, twist ties, or thin plastic containers provide essentially zero long-term protection. Weevils chew straight through standard plastic. Even thick trash bags degrade and allow oxygen transfer within months. If you skip the Mylar and just dump rice into a bucket with a snap lid, you'll likely open it in 2 years to find a colony of insects living comfortably inside. The oxygen absorber inside a properly sealed Mylar bag is what makes the difference between a 2-year shelf life and a 30-year shelf life. It's a 50-cent component that multiplies your investment by a factor of 15. Don't skip it. Store everything cool, dark, and dry. Ideal temperature range is 40 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Utah State University. Extension research found that every 10-degree increase in storage temperature roughly doubles the rate of nutrient degradation. Wheat stored in a climate-controlled basement lasted 25 years with no quality loss, while identical wheat kept in an uninsulated garage broke down within 5. A garage in Houston or Phoenix can hit 140 degrees in summer, which is hot enough to literally degrade the nutritional content of your food within a couple of years. The worst storage locations are garages, attics, and outdoor sheds. The best are interior closets, finished basements, and underbed spaces. Never set buckets directly on a concrete floor because concrete wicks moisture upward through capillary action. Use a wooden pallet, a shelf, or even a sheet of cardboard underneath, and label everything with the date you packed it. Not because you'll need to rotate it soon, but because 20 years from now, you'll want to know. If you want proof that this kind of supply is worth having, you only need to look at what happens every time the supply chain actually breaks. Hurricane Katrina in 2005 is still the textbook case. The Superdome was pre-stocked for 15,000 people for 3 days. Over 26,000 showed up. Federal aid didn't arrive in meaningful volume for 4 to 5 days after landfall. Of the roughly 30 supermarkets operating in New Orleans before the storm, only 15 had reopened 2 years later. The lower Ninth Ward went nearly a decade without a single grocery store. Winter Storm Uri hit Texas in February 2021 and knocked out power to 4.5 million homes. Grocery shelves emptied within 24 hours as delivery trucks couldn't move on frozen roads. Over 400 stores shut down entirely. The state's agriculture commissioner called it a supply chain failure, worse than anything they'd seen during COVID. Acute grocery shortages lasted 5 to 7 full days. Full restocking took another week beyond that. Hurricane Maria wiped out 80% of Puerto Rico's crop value in 2017, roughly $780 million in losses. The island imports 85% of its food under normal conditions, and when the ports and roads were damaged, that supply pipeline choked almost completely. Power restoration took 11 months, the longest blackout in United States history. FEMA lost track of more than a third of its commodity shipments. Supplies that did arrive took an average of 69 days to reach final distribution points. Think about that number. 69 days. If you had a 30-day food supply when Maria hit, you'd have run out before government aid reached most communities. During early COVID in March 2020, grocery spending spiked 70% above baseline in a single week with functioning roads, functioning power, and a fully working supply chain. Just a demand spike, nothing broken, nothing destroyed. Meat sales surged 84% above the prior year. Retail stockouts jumped 130% within 2 weeks. Rice and dried bean shelves were stripped bare in major cities for weeks. That wasn't a supply chain failure. That was a stress test, and the system nearly failed it. Imagine what happens when roads and power go down simultaneously. The commonly cited claim that grocery stores carry about 3 days of inventory is roughly correct for perishable items. Dairy, meat, and produce operate on a 1 to 3 day restocking cycle. Dry goods might carry a 3 to 7 day buffer, but all of it depends on trucks running daily. When the trucks stop, the shelves empty in hours, not days. FEMA has quietly updated its household preparedness recommendation from 3 days to 2 full weeks. The Red Cross says the same. Yet a 2025 national study found that only 5% of American homes have a fully stocked emergency kit. 52% of respondents said cost was their primary barrier, $86. That's the barrier standing between most families and 30 days of food security. So here's what to do this week. 1 trip, 1 store, 1 purpose. Go to any grocery store. Buy a 25-pound bag of white rice, 4 pounds of dried pinto beans, a jug of cooking oil, a jar of peanut butter, and a bottle of multivitamins. That single shopping trip costs under $35 and covers roughly 3 weeks of survival-level calories for 1 adult. When you get home, put it all in a closet, an interior one away from exterior walls and heat sources. That's your foundation. It's not perfect, it's not optimized, but it exists. And existing is what matters, because right now, for most people, the number is 0. You can build from there at whatever pace makes sense for your budget. Add the oats and pasta the next week, the canned goods the week after that. the Mylar bags, and 5-gallon buckets when you're ready to commit to long-term storage. But $35 and one trip gets you from nothing to 3 weeks of food, and that alone puts you ahead of 95% of the country. That's the whole idea. Now you know how to build it. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.